Fernando Alonso has been a bright spot this season, and his third-place finish at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix marked his 100th career podium, and made him the sixth driver in Formula One history to reach that milestone. Due to serving his first 5-second penalty incorrectly in the pits, he was slapped with a 10-second penalty after the race, dropping him to fourth. However, after appealing, the team's second penalty was overturned, and he was allowed to retain his podium position. Is it possible that Mercedes snitched on Aston Martin? Is the FIA likely to make any changes to clear things up in the future? Stay tuned as we look into it. Let's start off by seeing how Alonso almost lost his 100th career podium. Alonso finished third in Jeddah, but he was demoted to fourth after his team was deemed to have worked on his car while he was serving a 5-second penalty during his pit stop. But the stewards overturned their decision and reinstated Alonso's podium after Aston Martin successfully argued that there were previous examples of drivers not being penalized in similar situations. Let me explain the Alonso mess and why the penalty was overturned. The U-turn raised question marks over why it had taken the FIA so long to investigate an incident that occurred relatively early in the race. With 2 laps remaining, Mercedes' George Russell was told that there could be another penalty on the way for Alonso, despite no official investigation being launched. Is he getting the penalty or not? Russell asked. I'm pushing like a madman at the last minute, he added. Russell was the main beneficiary of Alonso's second penalty, as it briefly promoted the Briton into third place before the decision was then reversed. According to Sky Sports F1 pit lane reporter Kravitz, a rumor in the paddock suggests that Mercedes was the team that reported Alonso to the stewards. He got a penalty, but when you serve a penalty, you're not allowed to do any work on the car, Kravitz said. Next, we're going to look at why the FIA officials were under scrutiny and why Mercedes snitched. Aston Martin's Jackman touched the car where the 5-second penalty was being served, but the stewards didn't see this. If they had, they would have put a notice of investigation on the official timing screens. Toto Wolff accidentally revealed that Mercedes reported the incident to the race officials. We played the video up and down. It wasn't entirely clear if there would be a penalty, said Wolff. However, the stewards didn't launch an investigation into Fernando's alleged infraction from lap 18 until the 50th lap, when the race ended. It took 13 minutes after the checkered flag for the stewards to announce on the timing screens that they were investigating the Alonso pit stop for an infringement, and another 12 minutes after that for the initial decision to be revealed, which there was a 10-second penalty that also dropped Alonso from third to fourth place. Because of the possible benefits for both of the drivers, it was in Mercedes' best interest to see Alonso penalized. The plot, however, thickens, as they say. Aston Martin's appeal was upheld after the company provided evidence from prior races in which jacks touched cars while they were serving a time penalty. Even more mysterious is the FIA statement that followed, in which the organization explained why the stewards had reversed the 10-second penalty decision. Were there any strange occurrences at F1 control? The request to the stewards for review of the initial decision was made in the last lap of the race, an FIA spokesperson said. Aston Martin, however, had reversed their appeal rights, so the stewards had not even issued a notice that they were preparing to investigate the situation. After learning of Mercedes' deceit, the Silverstone team was clearly seeking ways to mitigate their risks. The stewards eventually conceded, and the subsequent decision of the stewards to hear and grant the right of review by the competitor was the result of the new evidence regarding the definition of working on the car, for which there were conflicting precedents. And this has been exposed by this specific circumstance. What about the amending the touching rule for cars? Let's find out here. As its upcoming meeting on March 23rd, the FIA's Sports Advisory Committee will discuss how to best handle this potential infraction in the future. They said, a clarification is going to be issued ahead of the 2023 FIA Formula One Australian Grand Prix. Is touching the car considered working on the car during a time penalty? This is a straightforward conclusion that needs to be agreed upon. If this wasn't considered a penalty, the officials wouldn't have to spend as much time going over a video to determine what constitutes a touch. Is it true that Aston Martin was denied notification for 32 laps? Since all drivers and teams have had the same outcome, it's still fair. The TJ13 has heard, however, that the investigation will also look into the broader effects of the Jeddah events. Since the stewards didn't initiate the incident, they didn't really formally inform Aston Martin that they were conducting an investigation. They had 32 laps to ensure Alonso was clear of his closest competitor by this margin if they had known a potential 10-second penalty was on the way. In addition, Fernando's attempt to earn an extra point for driving the fastest lap occurred on the 50th lap, when the Aston Martin still had enough rubber to pull away from George Russell by 10 seconds. Does the FIA want to eventually make stitching in F1 illegal? Look at this. According to the TJ13, the FIA is also contemplating a policy that would prevent teams from reporting suspected wrongdoing by other drivers to race officials. All sports referees are humans, and they must accept responsibility for their blunders after their final buzzer rings. Yet, during play, it's distracting to evaluate appeals from teams concerning the infractions of their opponents. Since the stewards are responsible for making sure the podium positions of the presentation are accurate and cannot be changed later, this process has already proven to be too cumbersome for Formula One. Although the right decision was reached in Abu Dhabi, such a carefully crafted investigation only helped to put FIA officials back in the spotlight at a time when a decent referee should rarely be seen. Moving on, let's hear about what Alonso has to say about the recent turn of events. After the race, Alonso slammed the sports governing body, telling Sky Sports F1, "I was on the podium, I did pictures, I took the trophy, I celebrated, and now I apparently have 3 points less. I don't have 15, I have 12. I think it's the more of FIA, poor show. You can't apply a penalty 35 laps after a pit stop. They had enough time to inform the public about the penalty. If I knew that, maybe I open up 11 seconds to the car behind. Today, we didn't put on a good show for our fans. I know the team is trying to review it within the stewards now because we didn't fully understand the second penalty." He also stated that he feels sorry for Russell, his fans, and Mercedes sponsors for missing out on the images on the podium, which is most likely before learning of the Mercedes rumors. "The regulation said that you may not work on the car. It's maybe a little bit ambiguous, but it's something that we're going to need to have a look at. We have a clear procedure for it. We have a countdown, and everything was fully safe. No advantage came from it," said Aston Martin team principal Mike Crack. Russell, who initially benefited from Alonso's penalty, admitted at the time he didn't agree with the call. "I think it was very harsh what happened to Fernando, in all honesty," he said. Finally, Toto Wolff profiting from his adversary is outrageous. Alonso Aston Martin may have helped Toto Wolff despite Lewis Hamilton and Russell's woes. According to reports, Aston Martin's stock increased by 15% after Alonso finished third in the Bahrain Grand Prix. In both races, the veteran Spaniard finished third behind the Red Bulls. He finished behind both of Hamilton and Russell, those whose world championship hopes were shattered by Wolff's harsh reevaluation. Aston Martin's unexpected success may give Mercedes team principal some peace. It's hard to say, but I think it might. Wolff purchased 1% of the team from part owner Lawrence Stroll in 2020, and later that year, Mercedes-Benz bought 20% of Aston Martin, doubling their stock. According to sports business expert Joe Pompliano, Aston Martin has gained £266.6 million in value in the 24 hours following the Formula One season opener. Wolff has admitted that the W14 is not going to be able to compete at the top of the World Championship. "The test reflects our lack of pace. The Aston Martin deserves to be fast, and Red Bull is just another planet. Because they're so far ahead, it aches. That's standard, but we must take steps to return. We can, then," said Wolff. Despite their struggles last year, Mercedes has gone backward, according to 7-time world champion Hamilton, who said that Red Bulls and Aston Martins were faster than them. "We're the 4th quickest squad now, up from the 3rd last year. We're falling behind. Therefore, we need to work hard to catch up," Hamilton said. What happened in Jeddah wasn't fair, so there needs to be a restriction on when penalties can be awarded. Is it nasty or brilliant that Mercedes waited until the race was over to lodge a protest? Moreover, why did the FIA decide to impose the penalty after the race had already ended? Is it a well-executed system, or does it need some tweaking? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, and that's it for today, guys. So give us a like if you enjoyed the video. You know, like means you like the video. I don't know if you knew that. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, or don't. I can't force you to do anything. You know what I mean? Alright, this has been a good outro. Later, guys.